now on the CTV News at 5. We know more about the reasons behind former Hurricanes GM Peter Anholt's departure from the team. Plus, federal funding is coming for a new pedestrian and cycling path in Lethbridge. And setbacks for Team Canada before the Winter Olympics even begin.
Telling your stories. CTV News Lethbridge with Jackie Scantlebury.
Good afternoon. Thank you for being here. Seeding time is fast approaching for southern Alberta's farmers, but will the dry and mild winter that the region has seen have any impact on crop yields? Quinn Keenan has more.
In January, the Lethbridge region saw just 2.9 millimeters of precipitation. Coupled with higher than average temperatures, it's dried out much of the ground and vegetation in the region.
As you moved into January, we did see a noticeably drier month. Only 2.9 millimeters this January of precipitation, when you usually see about 11. So it actually makes it the fifth driest January you've had on record.
That's raised some concern over what that might mean for soil conditions. Farmers will start seeding in about 2 months. But one expert says soil conditions are still up in the air.
Well, I mean, it's still a little ways out, thankfully. But yeah, I think variable is the biggest word. So even in southern Alberta, there are spots where there's been a little bit more moisture, where the sort of the drought alleviation that we got last summer and into the fall that has sort of preserved.
One positive for producers is the above average snowpack in the mountains and solid water levels in the reservoirs. But they could still use plenty of help from Mother Nature. Consistent precipitation between now and seeding would be a huge boost.
Some great stretches of gray days with low-hanging clouds and lots of drizzle and rain to let that sink into the soil a bit and not just wet up the top layer, but penetrate deeper into the root zone.
That moisture may not be coming anytime soon. Forecasts are showing conditions in the Lethbridge region will likely stay dry for much of February.
In terms of our precipitation outlook for February, it does have kind of that bit of a dry factor into around the foothills and further south, and more of that wetter than normal weather into northern Alberta, but otherwise not much of a signal. So it might be a bit of a waiting game, but as of now, warm weather looking to last for the next little while.
Quinn Keenan, CTV News, Lethbridge.
Now, not surprisingly, a number of southern Alberta communities saw daytime high records shattered yesterday. Despite temperatures climbing to 20.6 degrees Celsius, Lethbridge was not one of them. Bow Island hit 20.3, more than doubling the previous record of 9.8 degrees set back in 2012. Brooks broke a record set in 1964 with a record temperature of 18.5. Crow's Nest Pass climbed to 13.1 degrees Celsius. Medicine Hat set a new record reaching 17.9, and that broke a 34-year-old record of 15.7 from 1992. 1-4, Pincher Creek and Waterton also set new record highs for February the 4th. And this is the perfect opportunity to bring Danielle Savoni in. Danielle, chances we'll see more records broken today?
Absolutely, yes. Today is another day where we have temperatures well above normal, soaring well into the high teens for many communities. And I'll show you temperatures in just a second, but I'll show you why first. Here's that ridge of high pressure. You can see that very defined line in the clouds. This is the edge of the jet stream way up to the north, basically in the territories. Underneath this ridge of high pressure, sinking air, stability, sunshine, and the temperatures have been able to build because of this. So we've had a bit of a windy day, but it's been tamer than yesterday. This is a look at maximum gusts, but when you look at temperatures right now, we're at 18 in Lethbridge, 16 in Pincher Creek and Milk River. More details coming up, Jackie.
All right, thanks, Danielle. Well, we're learning more about why former Hurricanes general manager Peter Anholt stepped down. While his resignation was announced following a disciplinary hearing stemming from a verbal altercation with a player dating back to 2015 when it came to light. Now, Anholt says he was originally planning to leave at the end of last season for multiple reasons. Carson Marsouk explains.
Former Lethbridge Hurricanes general manager Peter Anholt says he resigned for several reasons, according to a recent statement released by him. On January 9th, Anholt announced his resignation following a disciplinary investigation which showed he breached WHL's standard of conduct with respect to threatening and intimidating language during a 2015 incident. In November, Anholt was suspended by the club following a post-game address in the dressing room after a regular season game earlier this season. But Anholt says those two incidents were only part of the reason for his departure. I have always said that when doing this job is not fun anymore, it will be my time to step away, and now is that time, he said in a statement. The last 2 years have been hard in so many ways. Anholt suffered a heart attack in 2023. While he says being part of Hockey Canada's World Junior team as the manager was the greatest honor he's ever had in hockey, it was the greatest disappointment too. The feeling of letting your country down leaves a hole in your gut that doesn't seem to ever go away. In the statement, Anholt says he was planning to step away at the end of last season, but did not want to leave the team without draft picks. He says he decided to stay one more year in hopes of providing a base for the organization to move forward with. Anholt says there is very good young coaching staff in place, along with scouting staff and hockey support staff to lead the team forward. The team has named Barclay Parnetta as interim general manager for the remainder of the season. In his statement, Anholt thanked the fans and community for the support throughout the years, including back-to-back Eastern Conference Finals appearances in 2017 and 2018. Carson Marsouk, CTV News, Lethbridge.
Both claims were filed via the league's 1-800-WHL Respect hotline, and this claim was investigated by the WHL Security Department. Despite his departure, Anholt has agreed to participate in counseling, which will be sponsored by the Hurricanes and the WHL. Now, new information was revealed today about the arrest of top Canadian hockey prospect and former Medicine Hat Tiger Gavin McKenna. A police affidavit says the 18-year-old from Whitehorse was allegedly caught on video punching a man in the face twice, causing a lost tooth and a fractured jaw that had to be wired shut. Police say 2 men were with the alleged victim, identified McKenna. The NHL prospect faces multiple charges, including simple assault in the Pennsylvania community of State College, where he plays for the Penn State hockey team. He was arraigned today and released on $20,000 U.S. bail. Meanwhile, the RCMP have launched a sexual assault investigation in Nova Scotia related to hockey hazing incidents involving a team in Truro, about 100 kilometers from Halifax. Investigators say a young person came forward saying they were assaulted at a team gathering in October. 3 young people now face charges, including sexual assault with a weapon and assault with choking. Investigators also believe offenses occurred at other locations and involved other victims. Hockey Nova Scotia has suspended the team while the matter is under investigation. A Brooks man has been arrested following an incident at a home in that community. It happened yesterday. Mounties responded to a report of an intoxicated man causing significant damage inside a home with a weapon around 9 a.m. Wednesday. Officers tried several times to speak with the man, but they say he became increasingly agitated and barricaded himself inside the home. After multiple demands for the suspect to surrender, the man was taken into custody. 38-year-old Kevin Ramsdale faces a number of charges. Canada now has a new advisory council with a mission to combat racism and hate in all forms.
Now it's about taking the next step into a national unity committee that is broad, that does recognize the specificities of Islamophobia and anti-Semitism, but is focused on national unity, and I think that's important.
The Advisory Council on Rights, Equality and Inclusion will replace the roles of anti-Semitism and Islamophobia envoys, positions that had been appointed by former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. Canada's Identity and Culture Minister will oversee the council and provide advice to the Prime Minister. The Liberals say they know how divided the country has become, but it's now time to focus on national unity. The new council will be comprised of yet-to-be-named academics, experts and community leaders. A new survey published just this morning says half of Canadians are struggling to find a doctor. According to Angus Reid, 1 in 8 Canadians say they have searched for a physician for more than a year or stopped looking for one. For those who do have a doctor, 31% say it's difficult to get an appointment, taking at least a week or more. 7 in 10 Canadians say they are dissatisfied with their province's performance on health care. The online survey was taken between November 26th and December the 1st with a random sample of 4,000 Canadians from the Angus Reid Forum, with a margin of error of plus or minus 1.5%. The construction of a new pedestrian and cycling path in Lethbridge will be supported by the federal government. Ottawa has announced $1.8 million in funding for the Crow's Nest Trail pathway through the Active Transportation Fund. The money will help develop a 2-kilometer connection from the existing pathway network to the W.T. Hill Business Park. The second phase will include a protected pedestrian rail crossing and intersection upgrades. The province has provided $3 million while the city is spending $100,000 on the pathway. The first phase was complete in December, with construction anticipated to start back up this spring. And with seeding season right around the corner, Excite Lethbridge is getting ready to host its annual Ag Expo later this month. Southern Alberta's largest and longest running agricultural trade show returns February 25th to the 27th at the Lethbridge Trade and Convention Centre. More than 300 exhibitors showcasing the very latest in agriculture equipment and technology will be at the show. The event will also feature Machinery Row, North American Seed Fair, and Think Ag. Tickets for this year's expo are now on sale. Still ahead, Danielle is back with your 5-day forecast. On the other side of this break, plus we'll look at the warning signs of heart health for women.
Here's your sky cam from about an hour ago, facing west today. Lots of sunshine and likely record-breaking for Lethbridge. Environment Climate Change Canada is going to have to confirm that because they go over the numbers. But it looks like we did get up to 20 degrees in Lethbridge today, which does break the old record. So we'll keep you posted on that tomorrow. All right, 61 kilometers per hour is the max gust in Pincher Creek, close to 60 in Lethbridge and just over 40 in Medicine Hat. So it was a bit of a windy day, but it was less windy than yesterday. And the winds we had today are similar to what you can expect tomorrow, although today is really the brightest of the bunch. Okay, 15 degrees right now in Pincher Creek, 16 in Lethbridge. Again, we got to 20 degrees earlier today. 12 in Calgary, 14 in Milk River and Medicine Hat. Brooks, 12. I'm not sure what this is, so let's move on. All right. Here's your up air analysis. The jet stream is in the darker green here, pumped all the way into the territories as we talked about. So this is a very strong ridge of high pressure that's in place for now. This pattern will start to shift though as we get into the weekend, which is why temperatures will change. It will still be above freezing, we'll still be above normal, but we won't be having 20-degree daytime highs. So as we head into later on Saturday by the supper hours, you can see that jet stream really approaching. This will open us up for some cloud cover to move in because it generally follows the jet stream as its storm track and may even bring a couple isolated showers to the far south. So here is the jet stream way up here. You can see the cloud cover with that. And again, that's going to slump down. I'm going to show you this in the future cast. And let's fast forward really to, you can see a couple cloudy periods, also some sunshine tomorrow. But fast forwarding to Saturday. Saturday by the supper hours, more cloud cover rolling in. And there is the small chance of an isolated shower in Lethbridge and surrounding areas and even up Highway 2. Nothing significant, nothing long lasting, but there is that small chance of that. And then we'll see some more cloud cover by the time we get into Sunday. All right, East Kootenay, +1 tonight, +5 tomorrow with a mix of sun and cloud. Crow's Nest Pass gusting 50 kilometers per hour tonight and then up to 60 tomorrow with a high of 14 degrees. So tomorrow will still be very, very warm, just a few degrees off of what we had today for most communities, a few degrees cooler. Medicine Hat just under that freezing mark for tonight. Gusts out of the north though at 40 kilometers per hour, but then we'll switch back to a gust out of the south. 50 kilometer per hour gust possible tomorrow. Should get to about 13 degrees though. In Lethbridge, we're looking at winds gusting out of the west tomorrow, 50 kilometers per hour. That should be enough to get us to at least 16 degrees tomorrow. And then we'll hold on to the teens even into Saturday. Again, by Saturday, later in the day, by the supper hours, that's when the clouds will start to roll in. The weather pattern will start to change. So we'll be lucky to get to 10 degrees by Sunday. And by then it will be mainly cloudy as well. And then plus single digits to kick off next week.
February marks Heart Month, a campaign dedicated to raising awareness about cardiovascular health and preventing heart disease. Today we're hearing from an Ontario mother hoping to share the warning signs for women. ABC's Tara Narula reports.
At 41 years old, PE teacher Lindsay McCodrum thought she was the picture of health.
I'm a pretty avid runner, and I'm a super healthy person. I watch what I eat.
Hello. But a family vacation to New York City last summer revealed the scary truth. On a bike ride with her family through Central Park, Lindsay told her husband she didn't feel well, stepped off her bike, and collapsed.
My color went like gray and my lips started to go blue, and I just I wasn't moving.
Her 19-year-old stepson Maddox, who had been recertified in CPR just the week before, recognized she was in cardiac arrest and started CPR.
My dad was like in shock, kind of froze up a bit. And then that's kind of when I'm like, that's kind of when we have to start it.
Bystanders called 911 and a doctor who happened to be on the scene took over CPR. Lindsay says paramedics shocked her 7 times before her heart started again.
Cardiac arrest is a condition in which the heart stops pumping. For somebody who's otherwise young, healthy, in great shape, exercises regularly, it's extraordinarily rare.
Lindsay was rushed to Mount Sinai Hospital, where doctors said she had less than a 10% chance of surviving. Her parents flying in to say goodbye. When she did improve, the Canadian mom learned she had a weakening of her heart muscle called cardiomyopathy, caused by a gene mutation. But there were warning signs she ignored.
I remember feeling exhausted on a couple of my runs before this happened. And I remember telling a couple of my friends saying, oh, I think I'm getting older. I'm getting out of shape.
Lindsay, forever proud of Maddox for saving her life, has a message.
If something feels off, you need to get it checked out. And CPR saves lives. Everyone needs to be trained in CPR.
Still ahead on the CTV News at 5. The Olympics haven't even started and Team Canada is already facing setbacks. We'll tell you more coming up next in sports. The Medicine Hat Tigers played the Edmonton Oil Kings at home last night. The Tigers were looking to make some breathing room in a tight Central Division race. Late in the first, the Tigers cough it up in their own end and Dylan Dean pounces on it to open the scoring. Carter Sutherland would make it 2-0 Edmonton a couple of minutes later when his point shot finds the back of the net. And late in the second now, and Dayton Reshney fires a puck top shelf to cut the lead. But a couple of minutes later, Edmonton gets their 2-goal lead back thanks to a redirection by Ethan McKenzie. In the third now, and Noah Davidson finishes a terrific solo effort to make it a 1-goal game, but that is as close as they would get as the Oil Kings would add an empty netter for the 4-2 win. The Tigers now lead the Oil Kings by just 3 points. Setbacks already for some members of Team Canada gearing up to chase gold at the Winter Olympics in Milan. Today's women's hockey game was postponed and some events will go ahead without star athletes. CTV's Heather Butts is in Milan with 1 day to go until the opening ceremony.
An alarming image of Mark McMorris following a crash yesterday in training. The 32-year-old 3-time Olympic medalist confirming he hit his head and will not compete in the big air competition. In a statement, McMorris said, "Fortunately, things are looking good for slopestyle, so I'm staying positive and shifting my focus there." Snowboarder Tess Critchlow has already had to withdraw due to injury, and Canada has had to swap out athletes in men's hockey and figure skating in the team event because of injury.
For those who've been injured and unable to compete, I feel for them first and foremost, and therefore give them as much support to see if they can compete in the case of those where it's questionable.
Facing these early obstacles, there's also questions over how the Olympic team is preparing to handle competing against the Americans at a time of heightened tensions between the countries.
The rivalry with the United States is one that's decades and decades old in sport, and yet I think there's a little bit more riding on it.
That rivalry most anticipated on the ice, where it will be a monumental year for hockey, marking the return of NHL players in the men's tournament for the first time since 2014. Combine that with the first winter game since the Professional Women's Hockey League launched, putting a spotlight on an extraordinary depth of international talent.
This is an immensely talented team, and they're in their final preparations. And very soon, we will see them walking into opening ceremonies to show the world just what Canadian excellence looks like.
While Team Canada battles injuries, Finland is dealing with illness. The two countries were supposed to face off today in women's hockey, but the game was postponed as the Finns battle the norovirus. Team Canada's first game will now be against Switzerland on Saturday. Heather Butts, CTV News, Milan.
A British great-grandfather showed it is possible to have a little spring in your step even at the age of 91 by winning gold in a trampoline contest.
It's absolutely great from an individual's point of view because it exercises just about every part of the body.
The former Royal Air Force trainer bounced his way to a first place at a competition for people over the age of 40. It had been decades since his last competition, but the trampoline coach was encouraged to compete once again. He started competing in 1955 and won the British Championship in 1960. Still ahead on the CTV News at 5, why a growing number of young Americans are choosing having pets over children. With the cost of living remaining a major topic for people across the country, it also seems to be having an impact on the makeup of families. Recent reports show more people are starting to choose being a pet owner over having kids. NBC's Marquise Francis reports.
It was simple math right now. I'm already stretched thin, so adding that burden is a barrier for me.
On TikTok, West Virginia native Sarah Morris showcases life with her fiance and their two cats, Sunday and Banana. But she says even the finite number of brand partnerships she gets in addition to her 9-to-5 as a flight attendant leaves little left over.
When people feel secure, they make long-term plans. When times of instability, they have to adapt. And adapting for us right now looks like shifting what the meaning of family looks like.
Do you want to explain to people why you're in trouble? Yeah. 17 of them, buddy.
I have 4 cats and I have 4 kids. And which one do you think is easier to take care of?
Janie Budnick is the cat, or chief of all things, for Four-Legged Kids, St. Louis's largest staff in-home pet care service. Budnick has seen the family dynamic between people with pets shift in the last 30 years.
Really, it's that shift of they are treated as children. If you do some of the comparison between what a healthy pet, what the expenses are during a year versus a healthy child, I mean, you can be 10 times plus.
A Brookings study from 2022 found that it costs about $300,000 to raise a child in the U.S. from birth through age 17, which includes basics like housing, food, clothing, and education. By comparison, pet costs were roughly $27,000 over 18 years.
What would be your advice to someone who doesn't know if an actual human kid or a pet kid is best for them?
If anyone has a hesitation about having a human child, please do not. You have to really be confident in yourself that that's the path that you want to take to bring a human into this world.
Thank you for sharing this time with us. Now here's the early edition of the CTV National News.